Welcome to Weekly MTG, the only Magic the Gathering streaming show that's broadcast from inside the building. I'm Blake Rasmussen, former co-host Steve Sunu, back for a one-time hosting gig for our 200th episode. It's good to see everybody again. I am not actually seeing you, unfortunately. We had some technical problems that caused us to have to pre-record this episode, but we're going to have some fun. Hopefully you'll have some fun alongside us. Sitting in the chair next to me is the normal host of Weekly MTG, Blake Rasmussen. Hey, Blake.
Hi, Steve. This is really uncomfortable.
Yeah, it should be.
Although it turns out this is actually my good side. This whole time I've been doing it from the other side.
I know, right?
And this is my good
now
side.
Now people finally get to see the other side of your face.
It's still really uncomfortable not being in control of my own show.
I know. Well, that was to tell everybody out there sort of how this came about. Blake approached me about the 200th episode, asked, hey, do you want to come back? Do you want to come back as a special guest co-host? I said, of course. What are we doing? And Blake said, we don't have anything planned. And that was a huge mistake because that meant that immediately I was going to plan something. And I have. We've put something together for Weekly MTG's 200th episode, something kind of fun.
Of which I know very little.
Yeah, so we pitched Blake, and that is to say I pitched Blake and producer Sean. Hi, Sean. Happy 200th episode to you.
Yay.
Cheers. Cheers to you. By the way, cheers.
Cheers.
The mugs are back.
From episode 1. So I thought very strongly about wearing this shirt to like match. It doesn't fit me anymore, which tells you how long we've been doing this show.
Fun fact,
pre-pandemic.
I wanted to wear the shirt that I'm wearing on this. I no longer have it because I wore it so much it became threadbare.
I mean, I don't have this one because I donated it because it no longer fit me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to see the contrast of how we've changed over the last
we've had
1 million years. We have
since this show started.
That's true. So you've been doing the show a long time. I exited the co-hosting duties after a little bit, but now I'm back, and thank you so much for having me. I do appreciate that. So we thought it would be.
I say of course, but I don't know what's going to happen.
I thought it would be fun for you to be in the guest chair for a little bit while in the guest chair, doing something that I know that you're very good at, and that's objectively.
Judging people?
Judging people.
Judging people. I love
what we
judging
did
people.
for Blake is we put together a special little mini show, a little competition, where we got 5 people from inside the building to, I asked them to do commands on your behalf. And these are very odd commands, stuff that all tangentially relate to Weekly MTG. It's going to be very exciting. Would you like to know who competed during this? So we have Athena Froelich, Senior Product Designer, Chris Mooney, Senior Game Designer, Gavin Verhey, who is a principal game designer. I know you've heard of him. Light Humphreys, Global Brand Marketing Manager, and Matt Tabak, Principal Editor. So all of those folks, people out there may have heard of in one way or another. They were very excited to come on and do some commands for you.
Very excited?
They were very excited.
Wow.
They were. So we have some commands they're going to read. The format is going to be they're going to read them out to you.
Okay.
We have some clips of how they did, and you're going to get to judge them. You'll put them in point values from first all the way down to 5th. First place will get 5 points, all the way down to last place, which will get 1 point.
That's what I'm taking notes on. Got it.
And
first to 5th.
First to 5th. And on top of that, at the end, there will be a winner of the 200th episode of Weekly MTG, and they will receive a fabulous prize. And that prize was not determined when we actually talked them into doing this, so they didn't know there was going to be a prize. But the prize will be similar to the tradition of mugs that we have here.
Yes.
I'll be making them a mug that says Weekly MTG 200th episode champion with their face on it. And they will get that for a prize to have in perpetuity to take with them as the Weekly MTG 200th episode champion.
All right, let's do it.
Let's jump right into it. Sean, can you please roll the first clip? Hi, Matt.
Hi, Steve.
You can go ahead and
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Great.
Hi, Lloyd.
Hi.
Hi, Athena.
Hi.
Hi, Gavin.
Hello, Steve, if that is your real name.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
If you could go ahead and open up the command and read it
Okay.
aloud.
And by open, you mean unfold.
Yes, please.
Okay. Create a new organizational system for Magic cards.
The system must significantly differ from traditional organizational systems for cards.
Such as by rarity, alphabetical by name,
set, collector number, card type, and Wooburg order. Record your system using pen and paper. Fastest and most uniquely developed system wins.
The midnight clock starts now.
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 The midnight clock starts now. Okay. Crap.
That's right, Blake. You do so many unboxings on this channel. You know, we've done a lot of unpackings, opening up collector boosters, draft boosters, you know, putting together sealed pulls. I figured that you could really use a new organizational system for all of those cards that you open. So we tasked these people with the command to come up with a brand new organizational system that had to differ significantly from ways that you would reasonably do it. The ones that we noted on the command were rarity, alphabetical by name, set, collector number, card type, and Wooburg order. But obviously the intent was that it's different from pretty much any other system that you would generally.
Bonus points if it accounts for having 3 children who are about this tall.
All right.
Let's find out.
So that was the setup, and it's fastest developed and most uniquely developed system. Okay. So those are the metrics that we're measuring today.
Okay.
So producer Sean, please let's see how they did.
Organizational system. I had so many ideas and they all left my brain immediately. Okay, well, if you look at a magic card.
So I can't do anything crazy. Well, I'm going to do something crazy, actually.
How can we organize magic cards? We could do by cuteness.
So like the immediate things that step out is like there's a lot of stuff about magic cards that just aren't one of these things. Like you can sort them by art, like how many creatures are in the art.
What was my command again? What am I doing here? Steve, what am I doing here?
All the information's on the command.
Okay, but I threw the command away.
Can we use years?
What are some things that like all creatures have? They typically have limbs.
My original thought was size, but they are all the same size, so we cannot do biggest to smallest.
I wonder if the mass on individual magic cards differs enough that you could weigh each of the cards individually and then sort them by that.
Oh, I'm so confused. There's so much to think about.
Ooh, Eldrazi are gonna be an issue. There's a lot of tentacles. Are those considered limbs? I don't know.
But perhaps we can do it in a non-Wooburg order. Perhaps we can just do reverse Wooburg. We can organize it green to white.
It doesn't say anything about usefulness.
Like legal year would be interesting, but the early cards, do they have legal text?
I thought this was gonna be something more tactile, like I was gonna have to build a house of cards or like throw a card into a watermelon or something, which would have been awesome.
All right, so if we're doing actually uniquely developed system, I collect a lot of original magic art, and one of the things that I have found as I try to complete my cephalid collection is there is a lot of cephalids on cards that you would not traditionally expect. So the way that I will do it is by creature type that is featured in card artwork.
Weigh each card and sort by mass.
I imagine the other contestants would have been done by now.
Okay, so that's my system then. So it'll go 0 to 100 limbs, and then there will be an Eldrazi one.
So most likely to be a rock band, name to least, and only I will know on the scale where things fall.
All right, well, we're gonna go alphabetical, but rather than going by the first letter of the name, we're gonna go alphabetical by last letter of the name. Wait for it. In Spanish.
I know there's an off chance that you're gonna make me sort cards via this method. So I'm gonna add in a third rule.
Really quickly before you continue on, could you go ahead and read that?
Read this.
Yes.
Sort these 200 magic cards.
Sort these 200 magic cards, one for each episode of WeeklyMTG,
into this binder using your organizational system.
Using your organizational system. I'd like to start over with the first command. Last letter of the name. In Spanish, of course, yes, being a code that I like to use when I mean in English.
Most accurately sorted cards in the provided binder at the end of 10 minutes wins.
Midnight clock starts now. I feel like this is a trick.
The midnight clock starts ahora.
So we pulled a little bit of a bait and switch on them. The first part of the command, and which we will score, was to come up with the organizational system. It has to be fastest and most uniquely developed, right? But they all approached it really differently, as you saw in the clip. Athena considered many different systems before she landed on the one that she did, which was sorted by creatures featured in card art. If there are multiple creatures or creature types, you must acquire multiple copies of the card. So that was what she wrote down. She did that in 6 minutes 14. She also considered cuteness, color of the artwork, size of the physical card, which she immediately dismissed because all Magic cards are the same size. Toughness, Gerb-U order, which is reverse Wooburg order. And I mentioned offhand that you were the one that would be judging this, and she said, organizing cards for Blake, it'd be organizing them by how powerful they are in a blue tempo deck, or perhaps how close they are to Muldrifter, but he probably doesn't like pandering, so she didn't do that.
Athena, I do like pandering. She also like pandering.
She also considered draft decks that I haven't unsleeved that are sitting in piles in different counters in my house. And when cards were first printed by date printed. So again, 6:14 took her 6 minutes 14 seconds to develop that.
We're
system.
doing this on a 200th episode of my show. Of course, I like pandering.
We'll get to that.
Of course, I like pandering, Athena.
Chris, they were, they were pretty like down the line on what it is that they wanted to develop. They tried to think of the most unique system. They said that sorting by art and art-based criteria, quote, seemed too easy, and wondered if they could, quote, get any weirder with it. They were also the only one that thought, and you saw in the clip, that thought of the possibility that we might have the contestants actually sort cards by the method.
Yeah.
So they came up with their method in 3 minutes 40 seconds.
Okay.
It was weigh each card and sort by mass. Break ties in mass via dropping cards by 1 foot and measuring sound. Sort quietest to loudest. And the final clause that they put in was, if you lack precise measuring tools, just quote unquote eyeball it.
Okay.
So that was developed in 3 minutes 40.
Sure.
Gavin was the fastest to develop his system. Gavin developed his system in 1 minute 45.
Okay. He looked the most ready to go.
Yeah, so Gavin threw the command away and then picked it back up because he needed to read from it. He considered legal year, and he actually used his phone as a resource to try to see what qualities on a Magic card he could reasonably sort. He was the only one out of the contestants to do that. Nothing on the command said that he couldn't. So his system was very simple. Most likely to be a rock band name, to least. That is what he wrote down on paper. Light spent 3 minutes 4 seconds coming up with his system, and it was a very simple system. He had 0 with an arrow pointing to the right, and then 100. And then under 0 it said slivers, and under 100 it said 100-handed one, and then there was a separate category for Eldrazi.
Sure.
That is exactly what Light wrote down. It took him 3 minutes 4 seconds to develop that system during the process. He said, ooh, slivers are those limbs, and he determined that slivers and worms are just 0. Okay. So Matt Tabak took a little bit longer than some of the other contestants. In fact, Athena at this point is the one that took the longest, about 6 minutes 30. Matt took 12 minutes 38 seconds to come up with his system. During the course of the process,
What did he do that whole time?
great question, Blake. The first thing he considered was, well, first of all, he did give a shout out to WeeklyMTG's 200th before the time started.
Thanks,
he said,
Matt.
we're celebrating WeeklyMTG's 200th episode 200 times. The two of you got together to celebrate. Without me, by the way, celebrate Magic. That's awesome. Celebrate our fans. Put on a show. Again, without me, which is the choice.
He's been on some episodes.
Oh, I'll get to that. That's awesome. 200 weeks, which by my math is well over 7 years. Well done. So there was that. The first thing that he decided he wanted to sort by was height. He said clearly the most important thing on a Magic card is obviously height. Everyone loves height. Tall people are amazing and awesome. He attempted number of words. People like words, but then you have too many words, is what he said. Number of vowels was something else he considered. He said, we have words and pictures, and sometimes there are different treatments. What was my command again? What am I doing here? And when I said all the information was on the command, he said, but I threw the command away. He said, can I get up? Can I pick it up? But it's on the ground and it's very far away. Of the system, he said, I don't want it to be subjective, which the system that he came up with is not, and we'll get to that. He said, I'm afraid what happens if I win. You might think I'm just stalling for time, at which point he spent about a minute wondering about the prize that he could potentially win if he won the episode. He also spent about 30 seconds wondering who the other contestants were. He said, who are the other contestants? Who am I even up against? How are we going to organize them? I bet you got Gavin to do this. It'll probably be on his morning show. Another show, by the way, I have not yet been on. I can't imagine why. I'm delightful.
He's been on this show. He's been on this show.
Again, We will get to that. He said, I feel like if I knew how to do this, I'd have a different job. If you get anything from this viewer, you should trust your instinct. What are you writing down, by the way?
So he tay-backed all over this.
He did. My favorite part, though, was when he said this. What you want to do is tell a story. You want to look at the art, and you want the art to look at you. Put yourself in the world. Imagine what's going on. What are the characters saying to you? What is the magical narrative that is happening? Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me either. At 10:47, 10 minutes 47 seconds, he asked what his time limit was, and he said he felt like we could just be done despite the fact he hadn't written anything down. And then he said he wanted to sort them left to right in a line. No, not in a line. Quote, to pedestrian, to jejune, in a graceful arc. He did not end up writing that down on the paper. What he wrote down was alphabetical by last letter of the name, in Spanish.
In Spanish.
In Spanish.
But then he backtracked at the end. So did he like?
Oh, the clock was already up. He could not revise his system.
Okay, so it's in Spanish.
Yeah,
so
it is in Spanish.
In Spanish.
In Spanish. He wanted to change it, and he was not the only one. So 12 minutes 38 seconds.
Okay.
Do you want to judge the systems now, or do you want to wait until we've seen them sort?
I think seeing them sort would help a little. I have some ideas. Obviously, the time is pretty stark, but. Let's see them sort.
All right, so we've grouped them into two discrete groups. Remember that they have to organize 200 cards, one for each episode of Weekly MTG. I pulled these cards myself. Every one of them was supposed to be unique. There were 2 copies of Chaos Maw in there that I
just
obviously
but
they were
Chaos Maw.
And you'll see a little bit about what the cards were when we get into that. But we've grouped them into 2 different groups. The first group you're going to see are Chris Mooney, Chris Mooney. Light Humphreys and Matt Tabak. So, Sean, would you please roll the clip?
We got 200 cards. Okay.
The system that I've created for myself is challenging.
Dios mío.
Oh, what is a Flatus card? Is that heavier than a...
The O form of the Muldrifter, a personal favorite.
Hero of Nyxborn. That's a pretty regular humanoid, so that'll be 4.
At this point in the command, I am glad that I did not say art, because that actually would have been much harder than what I'm doing right now.
I should have anticipated this coming. I did not.
Milken, I think a lot of these are gonna be 4.
That's about a foot.
Yep, 4. 4. That's a 4, not counting the antlers.
This is not like the most practical.
That's 4.
So despite me definitely going to be sorting fewer cards than the other 4, unless they came up with something even crazier than me.
Oh! This card is in Spanish. Perfect. A leg up on the competition I have already.
I'm starting to regret the system because it's all going to be 4.
We'll drop all 3. I mean, I guess there's nothing that says I can't drop them all at the same time.
Those fools, they probably have some easy sorting system.
Ooh, I didn't think about team-ups. I didn't think about having multiple people on the card.
Some of these will be found correctly, right? It doesn't really matter what system I used.
And I'm just going to use my amazing sense of, I said eyeball it, so 4.
4. That is also a 4. I'm just gonna do a bunch of 4s. It's cool.
Here I sort. Not really sorting. I'm just moving cards.
That's time.
Okay.
Time's up.
Boom.
Time's up.
Is it?
The clock has stopped.
It doesn't feel like that's true.
So as you can tell, they only had 5 minutes to sort the cards and put them into the binder. We didn't expect anybody to be able to properly sort them and put all 200 cards in the binder in 5 minutes. That was never the expectation.
All the time I ever have to sort.
Well, exactly. Right?
If the system can't be done in 5 minutes, done. Nope. Sorry.
So, do you want to hear a little bit more about how they did during that process?
Is there more?
There is.
Okay.
So Chris was very pleased with themselves about calling out that clause at the end for eyeballing it.
Mm-hmm.
They identified that the foil stamp cards were slightly heavier than other cards. Now, for context, I don't know that they thought that we would check, that any of the contestants thought that we would check their work. We did. I got out a scale at home a scale used for measuring spices, and the difference in weight was not significant enough to actually. So they were all essentially the same weight.
Yeah.
Whether it was double-sided, whether it was foil, non-foil, with the security stamp, without, there was not a significant difference between the weight of any of the Magic cards that Chris put in there. So really, all of the things that Chris put in there would be properly sorted because they all weigh the same weight. But that said, they did say that they would, quote, stay true to the sorting method, and they did. They did comparative drops for the full 5 minutes, split stacks quickly to try to get as many sorted as possible, and then put the cards in the binder based on the dropping method in which they felt were louder than others. As a result, they got 56 cards in the binder, and they were all correct.
All right.
Looking at Light, Light said, "I'm going to regret my organizational system." As soon as he started, he asked, "Can I change my organizational system?" And we said no, of course. You saw the huddle up problem there. Does 2 people count as 8 or 4 executives?
I think that's obvious. It's just the total number of limbs in the art.
And that is what Light came down to as well. So
doesn't matter if they're connected or not, just limbs in the art.
So what ended up happening was you saw Light did have other cards in there that were not 4-limbed, 4 limbs, but the bulk of what he sorted was 4s. So his method was to sort as many 4s in the back of the binder as possible and move backwards, but he did actually end up putting 7 cards in the binder at the front that had more than 4 limbs. So we have to go by what he wrote down, which was cards in the binder, right? And as you sort them forward, how many cards are actually there's an arrow pointing left to right. And when I asked him about it, I said, is that is that what your system says? He says, "Oh, I put the arrow the wrong way." Well, I'm going to make a decision that it's actually going to be read backwards. The binder's going to be read backwards. It's up to you to judge whether or not that's accurate. If you take the number of cards in the binder that were correct from right to left, as opposed to left to right, it's 47.
Okay.
If it's left to right, we take that 7 off. 40 of them are properly sorted. Okay. Matt was interesting.
Do we need to go over Matt?
We actually do, because the results were really, really great. Matt actually put more cards in the binder than either of the other 2 contestants.
Were any of them in the correct order?
And here's where it comes down. After this camera stopped rolling, he said, "I don't think you're going to check this." I checked it. So he put 80 cards total in the binder.
Yes.
More than either of the other people.
Sure.
Would you like to guess how many were correct?
So, you're just like discrete pockets? Could there be like 5 here and 3 here?
Right, so what he wrote down, and this is going to be up to you to judge, was alphabetical by last letter of the name in Spanish. He didn't say alphabetical he didn't put any clauses below about what you do after the last letter.
Okay.
So if you go just by what Matt wrote down, there were discrete pockets where there were like many of them that ended in L or many of them that ended in O. If you go by that system, he actually got 12 correct.
Okay.
If you go by descending, going backwards, he still didn't get 0 correct. He got 3 of them correct. And the funniest thing about it was
monkeys typing Shakespeare. It's gonna happen.
The one card that was in Spanish, by the first method, just putting them in the pockets, that one was in the correct position.
It looked like a lavalanche.
It was a villainous wealth. If you go by the method where they all had to be in the correct pocket, he was only 1 off from that card being correct. It was supposed to be in 25th place. He put it in the 24th slot.
I mean,
right?
Coincidence.
So, recapping, Matt, if you go by, it's 12 or 3, depending on what it is that you believe. Light was 47 or 40, depending on how it is that you want to judge it. And Chris was just a solid 56.
Okay.
So now we're going to see Gavin and Athena. You want to see how they did?
Let's see it. I think I'm pretty settled on my order, but let's see if this changes my mind at all.
All right, let's see Gavin and Athena.
Most rock band to least rock band.
Cat thing? Squirrel? This is like a breeze.
Chaos Maw. Yes, Chaos Maw.
Don't act like you're not impressed. You thought this was ridiculous.
Jace, Architect of Thought, boring, like usual Jace.
Maybe I'll start putting them in the binder soon.
We're not going fast enough, are we? We gotta put these cards in the binder, right? That's gonna be a problem.
First, we will put in Fluffy birds and thopters. Insects.
We're in trouble. We're in trouble. We're in big trouble.
Humans. And undefined.
Sort into this binder. Into is a real strong. It's a real strong word.
And that is it. Oh no, I left out the helium.
All right, and done.
Okay, I get why those two were
Yeah,
together.
so they were separated out because they discovered a loophole in what it is
Yeah.
that I wrote for the command,
Or
which is
poorly written command.
Or a poorly written command.
Yeah.
I did leave it up to interpretation.
Sure.
So they exhibited some really great lateral thinking there, where
Mm-hmm.
it did just say they had to be sorted most correctly sorted cards in the binder.
They were in the binder.
In the
It looked
binder,
like
so
they
it-
each hit 200.
Well, almost. So Athena.
I hope you spent a lot of time checking the sorting of all those
I
cards.
actually did.
I
and
believe it.
I watched all the clips back, and
Yep.
Gavin actually explained to me his sorting system afterward.
Yep.
For Gavin and Athena were both subjective in a way, so they gave themselves a lot of wiggle room.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Meaning that we could be a lot more lenient on how it is that they were properly or correctly sorted. For Athena,
Or more judgmental.
or more judgmental. So Athena got 199 cards in the binder. The last card, she missed that Chaos Maw was outside of the binder. She actually had 30 seconds left on the clock, but she asked us to stop it when she thought she was done. So she was not able to put that Chaos Maw in. Gavin did put 200 cards in the binder by the end of it. And both of them were properly sorted. Athena sorted all of the cards into piles. You couldn't see it there because it was 5 minutes of footage. We weren't going to show all 5 minutes. But Athena put all of the cards in those piles, put those piles on top of one another and put them in the binder. She actually also separated them out in pages where she could. That one big stack was humans plus like a bunch of other things on the bottom of it, but they
Sure.
were separated into piles. Gavin did the same thing, much the same thing, like put them on a scale and then started thumbing through and moving stuff around. And then he actually put a number of them in the pockets. Athena did put some in the pockets as well.
Yep.
Athena put 6 cards into the pockets. And they were properly sorted. Gavin, by contrast, started putting stuff in the pockets and then realized what the loophole was, right? So Gavin actually put 32 cards into the pockets, and he did properly sort them. So the ones at the front were the ones that he thought were most like a rock band name. Call out was Chaos Maw there. He was very excited about Chaos Maw. And then at the very end, he did put one card at the very last slot in the binder, which was Eager First Year, which he said out of all of them was the least like a rock band name.
Eager what?
Eager First Year from Strixhaven.
Eager First Year.
So he got, depending on how you want to count them, again, Athena got 6 cards in the pockets, but 199 cards into the binder.
Sure.
Gavin got 200 cards in the binder, but only 32 in the pockets. So it's up to you how you want to count
I feel
that
like
part
I
of it.
would rock out to Eager First Year in college, Gavin.
But it was up to him.
I get that it was up to him. I'm just disagreeing.
You can that can knock points off of the system if you'd like, but in terms of the sorting, technically the sorting was correct by the metric that he had given. So
We'll see.
let's score them. So you want to start with the systems and the quickness?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
so we're doing it by different. We're scoring by different categories here.
Correct. So it'll
Okay.
be the first part of the command and the second part of the command. Both will
Gotcha.
get points.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, the actual systems and the quickness. I took the quickness into account, but they were pretty clearly different systems. So it was mostly ranked by the systems.
Great.
Tayback, I don't speak Spanish. Doesn't help me. I don't have time to learn Spanish, unfortunately. I'd love to, but 3 children.
1 point to Matt Tayback.
Yes. And then number 4 is going to be Chris Mooney. The system, even though they put in the clause about eyeballing it, it still seemed like too many steps for someone with 3 children.
2 points for Chris Mooney.
Also making a mess. So
2 points for Chris Mooney.
the next 3 I actually had pretty close. They were all getting near the mark, I think. And so here time did come into play a little bit.
Okay.
So 3 was Athena.
3 points to
I
Athena.
like the idea of creature types in card art. The challenge there is it sorted by like alphabetical? Are like mirrors in the middle and grizzly bears ahead of that, or is it anyway? There was some unclarity in the system there. Limbs seemed very straightforward. How many limbs are there in the art? It doesn't take into account different art, and I didn't want different art in different places. So, light number 2,
4
but I
points
thought
to
it
light
was
numbers.
pretty good. And then Gavin, though Gavin's system was subjective, he was the fastest, and if I'm sorting it, a subjective system that I can do quickly actually makes a ton of sense.
All right.
And I think Rock Band sticks enough in your mind that I could sort that and then reliably get close to finding the cards. It's certainly better than my current method of randomly sticking things in a box.
5 points to Gavin Verhey. All right,
Yeah.
so for the second part of the command, how would you like to score them?
Okay, so
Most cards, most accurately
Most-
sorted cards in the binder win.
yeah.
So it's up to you how you want to judge in the binder.
I think Gavin and Athena did their thing. I think they followed the instructions that you wrote,
All right.
which were, they left that room for interpretation.
So 5 points to Gavin, 4 points to Athena.
Yes. Because I guess, because she only got 199.
Correct.
Yeah, so we'll do it that way. And then the others, Tayback's number 5.
1 point to Matt Tayback.
And then we're going to go with, I'm not going to give Light the benefit of the doubt. So Light's number 4.
2 points to Light.
And then Chris was number 3.
3 points to Chris Mooney.
Yes.
Excellent. The next one, so we're going to move on to the next command. The
Okay.
next command
Oh,
celebrates...
there's more commands?
Oh, there are more. There
Okay.
are more. The next command is something that you won't have to judge as much. There's an objective metric
I
to this,
wanna
but you can
judge.
if you want.
Okay.
This celebrates all the many wonderful people that you have had on this show.
We've had a
throughout.
lot of really good
We
guests
have.
on this
Let's
show.
go ahead and roll the clip. Hi, Chris. Please read this command aloud.
As quickly as you can, name 10 unique weekly MTG guests.
Most number of unique weekly MTG guests named as quickly as possible wins.
If you name the same guest as another contestant, that name will not be counted toward your total.
There's a bonus point for the closest estimate of the number of unique weekly MTG guests across the show's 200 episode run.
You may provide your estimate after you've named your 10 guests. Now, before I say the next line, I have one clarifying question.
Yes.
Do hosts count as guests?
All the information is on the command.
I don't like this.
You may provide your estimate after you've named your 10 guests. Oh, the midnight clock starts now. If I never read it, it never starts. As quickly as possible.
All right, so as quickly as possible, they had to name 10 names, essentially, people they thought were on Weekly MTG.
Yes.
Not everybody...
I mean, first of all, did they all name themselves? Because...
we'll get to that. You'll see a clip of it. But there are a lot of directions you could go for this, right?
Yeah.
You've had some incredible authors and actors on the show.
Their co-workers.
Their coworkers have been on the show. Magic Pro players, Magic artists, content creators. A lot of different ways that you could go for this. Do you want to see how they did?
Yes.
Let's see it.
Me.
Me,
Don't name me.
Matt Tayback,
I'm not on the list.
Mike Turian.
Mike Turian.
Mike Turian.
You don't have to worry about naming me, because I won't count.
they might have tried to go for the big brain play and maybe tried to name people that aren't obvious. So I'm gonna try and name some obvious people.
I'm trying to think of the more unique ones. Like, if I just name me, someone else almost assuredly named me.
Gavin Verhey,
Gavin Verhey.
Gavin Verhey.
design group people who would have been on, Dave Humphreys.
Mark Hagan.
Let's see, Mark Rosewater.
Mark Rosewater.
Mark Rosewater.
Corey, who does that design?
Ian Duke.
Doug Byer.
Melissa DeTora.
Melissa DeTora.
Melissa DeTora.
Paul Cheon. Huey Jensen.
Aaron Forsyth.
Aaron Forsyth.
Aaron Forsyth.
Brandon Orario.
Elaine Chase.
Elaine Chase.
Chris Peeler.
The Professor. Kenji Igashira.
Megan O'Malley.
Marshall Sutcliffe.
Trick Jarrett.
Oh, Adam Staworski.
Adam Staborski.
MTG Nerd Girl.
Steve Sunu.
Producer Sean.
Sean Mayovsky. I'm sure you've guest starred on it before.
Would you like to provide an estimate as to the number of unique guests that have appeared on WeeklyMTG across its 200 episode run?
105.
I'm gonna go with 97 episodes.
115.
65.
All right, thank you, Athena.
I really should have gone with 69.
69.
So,
I actually don't know the answer to that.
yeah, so it was a really interesting command. You couldn't overlap with anybody. That was the whole point. Like, if
Yeah.
the more unique names
I
you say,
really
the
enjoyed
better.
that Athena just named everybody who was on one of the episodes that she was on, where I just had like our team
Yes.
on.
So
She remembered her episode. Basically.
Athena did name a lot of the community team.
Yep.
And Gavin actually named a lot of the people from the mystery booster draft that we did.
Right.
When they were pretty much all people that were in his draft pod.
Yeah.
He went with content creators. Everybody else sort of went with Wizards people that had been on.
Yeah, coworkers.
Coworkers. So here's how they did objectively. Gavin took the least, so we'll go from most amount of time to least. So Matt Tabak took the most amount of time. He took 1:42 to name 10 names. Out of those 10 names, 7 people that he named had actually been on WeeklyMTG. Out of those 7 names, 6 people overlapped. Matt gets a total score of 1.
Okay.
Moving on to...
Could have named yourself, Matt.
He could have, but it would have overlapped and he would have gotten no points.
Fair enough.
So Athena was second quickest. Athena did it in 1:22. She named 9 WeeklyMTG guests and producer Sean. That wouldn't count anyway because Light also said Sean.
Yep.
But she only had 3 overlaps, not counting Sean, and so she gets a total score of 6.
Nice. Also, producer Sean, not a guest.
Yes,
He runs this show.
he does.
So, and also not been on camera.
No, has
One day.
not.
One
maybe
day.
maybe one day. Maybe one day. Going on to third quickest, we have Chris. They named 9 WeeklyMTG guests, but had 4 overlaps. So their
Okay.
strategy didn't work of just naming people that were common as opposed to
Yeah.
uncommon. But they did get a total score of 5 unique guests. Light was second quickest. Light named only 4 WeeklyMTG guests, unfortunately. Actually, 5, counting me, because I do count myself as a guest. I was a guest on the Designing Commander 2020 stream that we did. So he actually gets 1 point because all the other ones that were not me overlapped with everybody else. So 59 seconds was Light Humphreys. Gavin was quickest, naming 10 WeeklyMTG guests. He was the only one to name actually 10 people that had been on camera.
Great.
Only 2 overlaps. Gavin got a total score of 8. So the
go,
way that
Gavin.
it broke down was Gavin came in first, gets 5 points. Athena came in second, 4 points. Chris came in third with 3 points. Light got 1, and Matt also got 1, but Light was faster than Matt.
Okay.
So Light actually came in second for 2 points, and Matt got 1 point. The bonus point that we offered was for estimate of unique WeeklyMTG guests.
I actually want to know this, yeah.
Do you want to take a guess at the answer? I will say that one of them was only about 1 off.
Unique is probably, I think, given the clue you just gave me that one of them was 1 off, I think unique is probably closer to like 64.
So that is a highly underestimate
Really?
of unique guests that have been on the show. Blake, you have had, including myself as a guest, 114 unique
Wow.
people on this show. And
high.
Light guessed 115. He was 1 off. He gets the bonus point.
Nice.
So Light actually ends that with 3 points. So we're that's that. But just to give you an
nailed it.
illustration of how many amazing people you've had on the show, 114.
They've all been great, yeah.
114.
I figured in my head we had enough repeats, and I've had to do some shows by myself, especially during the pandemic. But I guess we also had shows where we had multiple guests.
Exactly.
So makes sense.
We have another one. Do you want to see what the next one is?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's take a look.
Hello. What could it be? I am really nervous now.
I will happily do this for you, and I will treat this command with the utmost respect and care.
Excellent.
Without assistance or reference, recreate the WeeklyMTG's host's favorite magic card using the provided materials.
Best recreation wins. You have 5 minutes.
The midnight clock starts now. What is your favorite magic card?
Oh, I'm not the host.
Great.
So they had to have a little bit of background knowledge here. They had
Yeah.
to know what your favorite magic card is, which is of course
Muldrifter.
Yes. So should we see how they did?
Yeah.
So the provided, I don't know if you caught it, the provided materials
It looked
are...
like noodles?
It's dry pasta.
Dry
yes.
pasta.
So let's go
Leftover
ahead,
from your child, I'm assuming.
potentially. Let's go ahead and take a look at how they got on.
So I have been provided a lunch. Pasta has been provided to me.
Blake, we're best friends. I know what your favorite magic card is.
I don't know what Blake's favorite magic card is. That's unfortunate for me.
Okay, well, we all know the Weekly MTG host's favorite magic card is Muldrifter.
Ooh, we get to make a mold drifter.
Sliver Queen.
It's a little, oh God. It's a little chewy. It's a little undercooked.
Oh, there's little letters.
Would it be easier if you had to draw it?
Would it be easier if I had to draw it? Yes, it would. Okay.
Would it be easier if you had to draw it twice?
We have to recreate the favorite magic card, not just the artwork. It's very particular. Recreate the favorite magic card.
So we make a magic card.
Go. Here we go. We're gonna, you know what? We're gonna add in a little bit of these twirly pastas. I don't know twirly. I don't know pastas.
Am I provided the materials after lunch?
Can you tell me a little bit about what the materials evoke?
Oh, what they are or what they evoke for
They
me?
evoke for you.
I have 5 minutes to eat this?
I've never doubted what direction the letters on a W go more, or the piece of a W go more than in this very moment.
Oh my God, there's so many letters in the alphabet.
Okay, you know what? I figured out what I'm gonna do.
All right, well, I guess I'll make a card.
I feel like I went for Sliver Queen, and I'm just making an Eldrazi at this point.
I'd be really mad if you like just pulled out all the F's or something.
I guess I need the island symbol. This goes in a circle, right?
I do know something about it, his favorite magic card, and that is that it probably is a rectangle, and it probably has the word magic on the back.
You have the little slivers out here, being like, Mom! They're over here. They're like, Mom, help!
Oh, these are actual letters. Oh wait, I could actually do the text.
Masterpiece.
Stop. That's. Thank you, Gavin.
Yes. You're welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
I think I should get extra points because I put like the little artist type line. I'm giving credit to the artists who came before me.
What's the card, Matt?
It's the flying pasta monster, obviously.
Nailed it.
So yeah, they all have different interpretations of how to approach this. We'll see what the result is. A little background. Athena, Gavin, and Light all really hit the ground running. Within 30 seconds, they were like pulling pasta from the thing and making something. Chris had to think a bit about their approach since they weren't sure what your favorite card was. They started placing pasta after about 1 minute 45 seconds. Matt spent 3 minutes 38 seconds eating the pasta, and then he started to build the card.
Okay.
So do you want to see what the results were?
Yeah, I do actually.
All right, let's bring them up one at a time. This is Athena's.
That's really good.
So that's Athena's. Athena actually did spell out Muldrifter there.
Yeah, no, that's
with the
impressive.
provided letters. Athena was actually the only one to notice that there were letters in there early on and actually used them. Matt noticed it toward the end of it. So let's move on to Chris. This is Chris's interpretation
back
of your
of the
favorite.
to be fair, that's pretty much spot on for the back of a Muldrifter.
For the materials provided, yes, absolutely. Let's move on to Gavin's, please. Gavin has the mana cost up there. Draw 2 cards with a Z, which I appreciated. And then let's see Light's Sliver Queen. Light was not actually sure what your... Light wasn't sure, but Light picked a lane and immediately went for it, and I actually do think that's a pretty good-looking Sliver Queen. I think that's a good-looking Sliver Queen. And let's see Matt Tabak's interpretation. So Matt... We asked Matt what the name of the card was, and he couldn't actually recall the name of the card at the time. He described it as the one with Evoke that draws 2 cards. which was funny because he literally said he picked up form of the Muldrifter in the sorting command and said Muldrifter. So, but yeah, that was Matt's interpretation. So let's see them all together so that you can judge them against one another.
Oh, I know what I'm doing here. So, okay.
Let's see them all together for the viewers to take a look, Sean, and then let's go ahead and score them.
Easy scoring from here. Athena, that's really impressive. Great. 5 points to Athena. Gavin, you knew the card. You drew it out. Love it. Gavin, second.
4 points to that.
I'm giving Chris Mooney third because technically that is the back of a Muldrifter.
3 points to Chris.
I'm giving 0 points to Matt and Light. No points. Chris, I'm giving points simply because he went within the rules, tried to get a little cute. We let that happen with the binder thing. Went with kind of the letter of the prompt. Matt and Light tried to do the front, and Light just got the wrong card. And then Matt just did whatever that is.
All right.
It
so
is a magic card.
Athena wins the command.
Yeah.
Excellent. We have one more for you
right,
before we
one
end,
more
and it
before
is I think a fitting tribute to our 200 episodes of Weekly MTG. So
Okay.
let's roll the command, Sean. Here you are.
Oh, no, I'm full, man.
Oh,
Okay.
if you could read. It's for reading, not for eating.
Oh, okay. Switching it up. I like it.
Write a poem that celebrates 200 episodes of Weekly MTG.
Your poem must include the name of at least one magic card or magic set in each line.
You have 10 minutes to craft your poem, after which you will perform your poem.
Best poem wins. The midnight clock starts now. Very good.
The midnight clock starts now. I noticed you didn't say the best performance wins, but I'm going to assume.
Note it says best performance does not win, so good for me.
I love poetry. Oh, Noetry. All right, here we go. Let's do this.
Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
They have to write a poem.
Poem.
Each line
Let's do
has
it.
to contain at least a magic set or a magic card name. Do you want to see how they develop their poems?
I do. Before we do that,
Oh, yeah.
because I want to make sure we get this in before the end. So I didn't get to do my little news
That's
segment
right,
because it's
because I-
not
yeah,
my
yeah.
show today.
Not today.
It's awkward and it's weird, but I'm taking control for just a moment. So a couple things I want to say about MagicCon Philadelphia. We're both going to be there.
Yes.
It's going to be a good time. I'm very exciting for all the food, but also the event. And some of the things at the event that I am most excited about include these notes that I'm definitely not reading. The cosplay contest application deadline for MagicCon Philadelphia has been extended to February 6th. So you can head to mcphiladelphia.mtgfestivals.com, follow some links, and you'll get to the cosplay contest. So that contest is going to be open until 2/6. The cosplay contest at Magic 30 in Vegas was amazing. So if you want to be involved in that, definitely check that out. The official hotel block for MagicCon Philadelphia reservations, the deadline for that is January 22nd. So again, head to that mcphiladelphia.mtgfestivals.com site and then check out hotels and travel is where you want to be. And then finally, just a note, so MagicCon Philadelphia added, of course, the Command Zone add-ons. We are very nearly out of that. If you are planning to go to MagicCon Philadelphia and you want your pass to the Command Zone, those are rapidly running out. So again, head to that same website and look for the Command Zone add-on if you're planning to go and you want that add-on.
Excellent.
That's it.
I'm
That's
excited.
my
I'm excited
spiel.
for Philly. I think it's gonna be fun.
All right, let's do
All
this
right.
last thing.
So let's go straight to the performances of the poem. I don't think we need to mess around here. Sean, are you able to cut directly to the performances? Great. Let's see Athena's poem.
Weekly MTG is 200 episodes old, but is still happy to welcome new viewers to the fold. Learn a lesson about upcoming sets, whether it's Ixalan, Strixhaven, or Amonkhet. We couldn't do it all without Blake, who murders his questions to each weekly Q&A. So as we all prepare for Phyrexia All Will Be One, I'll be looking forward to episode 201. I did it.
That was good.
Yeah, so
That was good, Athena.
line
I like
1,
it.
Welcome to the Fold from Shadows over Innistrad. Line 2 had Strixhaven, Kaldheim, and Amonkhet. Line 3 had Murder. in the process, Athena said, my mind immediately went to the card murder when needing to write a poem, which was a fun way and cool way to live. And then line 4, of course, Phyrexia, all will be one. Let's see Chris Mooney's poem.
Once upon a time, Wizards of the Coast had a rancorous show with an unlimited host.
So pretty short and sweet.
Yep.
Short and sweet.
Okay.
Once upon a time, Throne of Eldraine, first line. Wizards of the Blank from Unfinity, and Chris chose to write Coast in the blank.
Sure.
And then Rancor in line 3, and Unlimited in line 4.
Yeah.
So very, very short and sweet.
Okay.
Did rhyme. Next, let's see Gavin Verhey.
Did rhyme.
For the Weekly MTG host, I call this poem 200 Weeks of Drifting. Once upon a time, there was a man who crafted long-term plans. He decided on a Revelark that making videos would be smart. Educating the Magic community would be his vow of duty. Once a month, nay, once a week, I'll make the show and eschew sleep. So this wonderful squeaking pie grub fellow found his friends who were quite mellow and brought them together for a weekly planner celebration. And these hosts created an onslaught of information, like how Muldrifter will unite all Magic nations.
So he got a lot in there.
He did get a lot in there.
Okay.
So line 1, Once Upon a Time,
Yep.
and from Throne of Eldraine, and Long-Term Plans from Scourge.
Yep.
Line 2 was Revelark from Morningtide. Line 3, Vow of Duty from Commander 2011. Line 4, Sleep from Magic 2010. Line 5, Squeaking Pie Grub Fellows. He was very, very passionate about getting that in there.
Sure,
from
why
Morningtide.
not?
Now here's something that's interesting. Line 6, he said Planar Celebration. That's not actually the name of the card. The name of the card is Plane Wide Celebration from War of the Spark. Line 7, Onslaught, and of course line 8, Muldrifter.
Yes.
So he got a lot in there. Line 6, we know what card he meant. It still scans, but he did say Planar Celebration, not Plane Wide Celebration. Next up, we have Light Humphreys.
Blake. Oh, Blake. Do you know Shieldred? She's so frightening, just like zombies. Fibblethip is lost, which is such a dread, just like Innistrad with the Eldrazi's. Weekly MTG is old like Alpha, but is fun like Ravnica. It is smart like Kaladesh in 1 hour long sesh, like a game of Magic.
So Light did not make it easy for himself. He picked a lot of names that were hard to rhyme and just like stuck with them, which I do respect. So line 1, Shieldred, obviously refers to Shieldred Whispering One or Shieldred the Apocalypse from New Phyrexia or Dominar United. Line 2, he said zombies. Zombie tokens was what he was referencing.
Sure.
Line 3, Fibblethip the Lost from War of the Spark. Line 4, Innistrad. Line 5, Alpha. Line 6, Ravnica. Line 7, Kaladesh. So
I noticed we're ending on Matt Tabak.
we're just going alphabetically, but let's go ahead and see Matt Tabak's poem.
I have prepared for you an 8-line poem. We sit not in judgment, for you surely inspire awe. 200 episodes in seasons past. An institution like Colossal Dreadmaw. A plane-wide celebration, Blake and Steve. An odyssey like no others. Enjoy the holidays, a joyous respite. You are eternal masters, my brothers.
So this was obviously filmed prior to the holiday break. He references the holidays, that's why. The line 1, Judgment. Line 2, Inspire Awe from Theros Beyond Death. Line 3, Season Past from Shadows over Innistrad. Line 4, Colossal Dreadmaw, originally printed in Ixalan. Line 5, Plane Wide Celebration. Matt did get it right, from War of the Spark. Line 6, Odyssey. Line 7, Joyous Respite from Champions of Kamigawa. And line 8 from Eternal Masters. Now, I should note that Chris, Gavin, and Matt all did pull out their phones to look up Magic cards. There was nothing in the command that said they couldn't do that. Athena and Light did it from memory. As I said, Light did make it somewhat harder for himself, and then he kept picking words that were hard to rhyme. And Matt spent most of the time in silence writing and looking at his phone for reference. This was the.
It was like the one he took seriously. That was.
He took
that
it
was
very
actually,
seriously.
Yeah.
So do you want to go ahead and score these?
I do. I
right.
have my scoring. So
Let's do it.
First place, Matt.
Matt
I'm
Tabak
going with
gets
Matt.
5 points. Excellent.
It was soulful. It moved me. Thank you, Matt. And then I'm going to go Gavin and Athena. I thought were real close. Can we give them both?
Joint fourth, joint second?
Joint second.
Joint
sure.
second, all right.
And then we'll give Light and Chris joint third, I think.
All right. So 5 points to Matt, 4 points to Gavin and Athena, and 3 points each to Light and Chris.
Yeah, that was they were all beautiful.
And now we get
thank
to.
you.
So first of all, thank you all to all of the contestants that participated. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'm just going to total up the score and see who won.
Yeah, while
today.
you
We're
do
gonna total it
that,
up.
thank you everyone for tuning in this week and for 200 episodes, which is kind of insane. Thank you, Steve, for putting the show together. I had no idea what I was walking into. The show continues with episode 201 next week. So next week is our debut after show. So the Phyrexia All Will Be One debut kicks off at 9 a.m. Pacific time here on twitch.tv/magic. Hopefully then we'll be doing it live because and not recording like this. But it will be followed by the Weekly MTG after show. We'll have guest Andrew Brown on, who is one of the lead designers for Phyrexia All Will Be One. We're going to talk through mechanics. We're going to talk through cards. We have a bunch of cards to show off, a bunch of cards to talk about. So definitely tune in for that. The whole thing kicks off again 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's noon Eastern time, and math from there.
Love math.
Right here on twitch.tv/magic. So before we go,
right.
let's see who won.
Well, we have the final point totals, Blake. Coming in 5th place with 8 points is Matt Tabak.
Okay.
Coming in 4th place with 12 points, Light Humphreys.
Okay.
3rd place, 14 points, Chris Mooney.
Okay.
4th place with 4th and 1st place were close. There were only 3 points separating the winner and 2nd place. Coming in with 20 points, Athena Froelich, but the champion of the Weekly MTG 200th episode. He's had probably the most number of appearances on this show.
Gavin's
other than
been
you
on
and
the
me.
show the most.
With 23 points is Gavin Verhey. So Gavin Verhey is our Weekly MTG 200th episode champion.
Well, congratulations, Gavin. Thanks for being our host or our guest on the most.
Yeah.
And
I do have one more thing that I want to cover. One of the big oversights that this is one of the best things that I've done. I made these mugs for us
in your entire life.
Probably true.
It goes your son.
Yep. And then these mugs.
And your wife, like in the same thing.
Yeah, and then these mugs.
Yeah.
The one oversight and the one regret that I did have is that we made 2 of these, one for you and one for me, but we did not make one for Sean. So that is actually something that I rectified. Sean, we have one of these mugs for you today as a special gift for all the work that you've done over the last 200 episodes. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Stare at my face some more.
Couldn't do it without you.
That was actually how I was going to end the show. Is thanking producer Sean. I've been off the show a few times for leave or just because I was sick or whatever. Sean has done more of these shows than I have. Sean is what makes this show work. It just doesn't happen without producer Sean.
Out of the 3 of us, I think Sean's been on more episodes
absolutely,
than both
100%.
of us, actually.
One of these days we'll get Sean in front of the camera, but we really need him on that side of the camera to do all the things he does. So thank you, Sean. Thank you, everyone.
I'm sorry for the delay. Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Whenever this airs.
Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully it does.
See you next week.
Bye.